Hey everybody, Lonnie here. So we only have a few more parts left of our series, and we're building out our Atmo application, which is an Angular application consuming data from OSIsoft Cloud Services, also known as OCS. So we have our data service finished up, and we're bringing our data in. Now we want to get this formatted, and this will be a couple of parts. We're going to do the current weather station data at the top part, and then we're going to have a forecast data at the bottom. Looking at the architecture, quick review, we're now completed obviously with a complete top part of collecting all the data, getting it into the sequential data store, pulling that data now out of that store using an API that we've deployed to Azure as Azure Functions. And we're finishing up our Atmo application that we're going to deploy to Firebase when that's all done. So let's get out of our PowerPoint and come over to our application. Here we're running, so I'm going to go ahead and fire this up again. This is where we left off with the data service in part 11. We go ahead and open this up, and the weather data is loading in. We have some current data here, and then we have our forecast data. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set up kind of the layout here. So I'm going to come over and get this on this side, and let's see if I can get this. If I get this right, we can get this little bar and we can move this over so we get everything side. I'm going to go ahead and see, we have our TS and our HTML files. We're not going to access the data. We're not going to access the modules. I'm going to split this, and we're going to get our CSS on this side. Close this out, and then over here, I'm going to Control B to hide that, and this will maximize the screen space. Okay, let's come back to our HTML. I want to delete this. I'll just comment it out for now, and we can load this. Hitting Control S, everything reloads. Plus, I'm going to hit Control P and bring in our data actually, I think I'm just going to lower this flash time down to something like 500 milliseconds. So we're not waiting on that because we're going to be reloading quite a few times. All right, let's come back to our HTML and kind of redo a couple of things here. I want to add in a header here, and the header is just going to be our location, so we'll bring in a location here, and then I'm also want to put in a time, the current time. So we'll do a time, or let's call this header __ sub. And we'll put time here, and we'll bring our time in. So we need to populate these two. So I want to take this class and move it down here in the app title. So it'll just affect these two. The app title here, let's bring this below and kind of get this all in order. And how it's laid out, I kind of like to have the order of the CSS match when I'm introducing new classes here. So the title is fine, except I want to make this all uppercase for our titles. So we'll do text transform, and we'll make this uppercase. The header and the sub header will make this. We need to set our font size. This is going to be a really large font that's going to say, the location, and then the time will be a little bit smaller. So for the header, let's set the font size equal to 3M, and the header sub will make this font size of 1.2 AM. 1.2 AM. Let's come over to our app TS and get those two values in here. So location, we know this is a string, and that's going to equal to Napa, California. Now, in the future, this would probably be some kind of a menu or a selector that people would pick, and then we would send this out as far as to our data service to get location. But in order to keep this reasonable length here, we're not going to do all that passing variables around and stuff like that to make it work for multiple weather stations. But certainly it'd be possible to do that. So in the time, we're going to make this a formatted string, but we need to get this initialized. And what I want to do here is I want to set our time, this dot time, and I want to equal to whatever the current time is. Now, through experience, I use a library. This is one of the few libraries that I pull in almost to all my projects because I'm always working with time series data, and I need a good formatting library to deal with getting times laid out properly and manipulating time. So the library that I like to use is called Moment.js, and go here, pulling it up in the browser, and you can see it just gives you a huge amount of flexibility as far as what you want to depending on what you want to do with time. You can do all kinds of things from formatting to manipulating and getting time spans and stuff like that. Super handy library. So I'm going to go ahead and do an npm install moment, and we're going to save that to our config file. And up here to bring it in, we just do a we do an import and from as moment from, and then we'll just bring this in as moment here. Okay, now that we have that set up, we can go ahead and take a moment to work with. And a moment, this command here just brings in the current time, and we can do a format. Format I want to do actually is very similar to this top one that we have. I want to print out the entire month, display the entire month, so we'll do 4ems. And then just the a single day, take a single day, and then a comma, take the hour, the minutes, and we'll do an AM PM. Okay, so that should set up the time and the location along with our font size. Let's go ahead and save this, and let's do a let's go back to ng-serve and bring this back. Okay, so that's really nice large text here, uppercase here, and we can see we have our month. I think I'm missing an M here because I want to see the whole month of October. There we go, October 29th, 4:50 p.m. Okay, and then we have our temperature. Let's go ahead, and what I want to do is below here I want to display an icon with the current weather conditions. And then in the center I want to have the outside temperature, degrees Fahrenheit, and then over here I want to have 3 rows showing the indoor temperature, the high for the day, forecasted high and forecasted low for the day. So we're going to use Flexbox to set all that up. So we're going to have basically three boxes within a larger box. Let's come back to our HTML and start getting that going. So the three boxes we're going to have, we're going to contain all this in. I'm gonna just create a section for like our outer box and call that current. So, and then within that we're gonna have our 3 boxes. So we'll do current, and I'm doing a double underscore. This will be the box on the left is going to be our summary, and then the box on the right or in the center will be we'll call that main, and then the last box on the far right will be our secondary. So let's call this current secondary. Okay, now within those, this one is going to be in the main. I know that, and we need to put an image. We're going to have an icon image here based on what our current icon looks like. So if I come back to our data service here, let's pull that up, data service, And we have this this call here that we have. Let's pull that up and take a quick look at what that call looks like. So this is our current value. So we have our temperature and temperature indoor, and then if I come over and we do a similar call, but we do this for our forecast snapshot. Get forecast, and we have this under our current, we have the summary and the icon. So I want to use these two right here. That's going to be under current. Okay, so let's come back, take a quick look. If you remember here, we have snapshot and we have forecast. Those are the two JSON structures. So forecast.current, summary, and icon are the two that we're going to use. All right, so in here, let's go ahead and set that up. So we're going to need some icons, and we're going to let's bring those in before we get started. I'm gonna Control B to bring out my folder structure here, and here's my assets. I don't have any icons in here, so I want to let's go ahead and bring those. I'm gonna bring those over, and I want to copy the folder. So here I have my weather icons, and they're all just labeled matching what Dark Sky calls them. So I literally, once I take this like clear day icon, if we look over here, we have, that's the icon value here, clear day. So these all match up. All right, so. All right, so we want to bring in an image. And the image, we're going to do some string concatenation here. Let me bring this. And within this, we want to go to our directory where everything's located. This is going to be assets. Assets. Weather icons. And then we can take our, we'll add our forecast. And this would be current, and we said that was icon value. And then finally, we just need to add the file extension SVG. And if I didn't make any mistakes, that should bring in an icon here. There we go. We have a big icon. That's perfect. Well, not quite perfect, but it's getting there. Let's go ahead and put a class in here so that we can size this properly. And we'll make this equal to current double backslash summary and then 2 dashes. This is the BEM conventions that I'm using here for styling, and you can read up on those. This is something that's nice for large projects. Icon. Coming back here, we can fix our icon size. I'm going to go ahead and get that just so that we don't have a huge icon here. So this is going to be, I'll set our max width to 4M. So current summary icon, and then we'll do max width of 4M. Okay. Okay, great. So we have a decent size there. The other item that we need to bring in is the summary, and here we can just do we'll do a forecast dot current, and that's a summary value. So we can see an icon here, and it's clear. Okay, I think as we progress through these 3 boxes within a box, I think I want to get all these kind of laid out, and then we'll populate them with some data. So what we have is we have our current display. We'll do a border, and that's going to be 1 pixel solid red, and then we have and then we're going to have our other ones. We're going to have current summary. Let's go ahead and do current main and current secondary. Also going to put borders around those. Save all that, make sure everything's labeled. So we have a bunch of boxes within boxes, but it's not super clear. So I know one thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to lay out this this overall current box that's holding everything. So let's go ahead and we're going to be using Flexbox. Flexbox is really really awesome, super powerful. It can be a little strange at first when you start using it, but once you kind of get the hang of it, it's not that bad. And there's plenty of information out on the internet on it. So I'm going to set this to display flex. That's going to get all the divs to line along in a row versus a column like they are now. And then so I'll show you what that looks like. You can see there's going to be, we have our boxes here, but everything's kind of on top of each other. There's actually there's a little box here, but it has no content in here. Here I can do this. We can do a div. And then you can see we have information in each, so you can see the boxes. And it looks like our secondary. Let me get this within this div, because I was like, why aren't we seeing a box around secondary? Okay, cool. So you can see these three boxes laid out. So we can evenly space these. So let's go ahead and do that. By justify content, and that's going to be a space between. You can see how that looks. And then we're gonna set up some. We're gonna size these so these are taking up the proper amount of space that I want everything to be proportionate. I want this to be 40% and then 30 and 30 on either side. That adds up to 100. So let's take. Let's go ahead and do a current. Summary, and we'll do flex basis of 30%, and then we can take this, we'll copy this down here a couple more times, and this will be main is going to be 40%, and then this will be secondary, and that's going to be 30%. So I save that, whoops. If I save this, okay, we can see now everything's kind of in proportion. That's how I want to see it. And then we can start working within these boxes now to get the content to lay out properly. So we were working on the summary. Let's go ahead and continue that. So here's our flex basis for our summary. I want to do a display, and I want to get these stacked on top of each other. So we're going to use, we're going to do another flex display, and then, but this time I'm going to do a flex direction of column. And that'll get everything kind of piled on top of each other. Now I want to, let's do some alignment here and get everything centered. So to center things, we can do line items. Center, and then to make sure that we've got the up and down working right as far as spacing goes, we can I want to do justify content, and I want to do a space around, and that'll get kind of everything centered in the middle. Let's try that. All right, that looks good. Probably the last thing I want to do is I want to add some space, some margin between this and the timestamp up there. So we can come back up to our current display. Let's add some margin here, and we can make that 0.6 m with 0. And that'll get kind of things spaced out a little more nicely. And then let's add some padding within the inside so that all the content's not hugging the borders like we see it here. So we have this set up. We can do the padding. Yeah, top bottom is fine, but I want to do left right. We'll do 0.2 m to get things. Okay, so now we have a little bit of padding in there. Okay, I like our margins and our padding. let's continue to work on the rest of the content. Let's get our center content in our main. Okay, so this is going to be a class. Let's call this current main. It's the element that we're in, and then we're going to set this up as our value. And copy this over, and we're going to have a UOM also. We have our temperature value, so we can do our UOM. And then we just need to, here, let's save that, and we'll see how that looks. See the UOM will come in here. So all that work we did before getting the UOM set up, that's all we literally have to do now is just type one line and we have our UOM. So let's come down to our main here and get those formatting working here. This is going to be main, and we have value. Oops, two dashes. And here we'll set the font size to 5M. That's going to be nice and big. I'm also going to change the weight, font weight, and we'll make that 300. We're going to need this to be these need to be side by side. So up here we'll change, we'll make this a flex box. Display flex. Let's go ahead and try saving that, see how that looks. Current main value. Let's save this too. Let's get our classes fixed here. Often when you don't see styling getting applied, it's because of typos. And that's one of the reasons why I like to put boxes around things, just to make sure that, yeah, I'm actually getting styling applied. Okay, so that's really big. Our F is not nearly the proper size. Let's go ahead and fix that. And then that's UOM. I don't think I'm going to mess with the font weight, but I do want to change this to 2. And I also want to get the F aligned on the baseline. So there's a so within main here we can do a justify. We can do align items to align items, and we can do baseline. That'll get everything situated the way that I'd like to see that UOM land. Okay, let's try that styling and see how that looks. Okay, that's great. I don't like this 0.4. I just wanted to say 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Most people don't care about that fraction. So let's go ahead and fix that. We can do a formatting with Angular using a pipe. We can do, this is a number. And this is going to be 1 decimal place 00. Let's try that. Okay, 68, and then I just want to get this centered in the box, so we'll just do justify content, and we'll center that. All right, perfect. Now let's go ahead and work on this last box. This is going to probably be the most complicated one. We want to have three rows, and it's going to be indoor, high, and low, and then we'll have the 3 values over here on the right. So we're going to have kind of like a, like a table. We have this temperature.value. It's going to be something similar to this, but that's going to be contained within 3. Well, we'll have 3 rows. Let's set that up first. How about? So I want to set up a class, and we'll call this current __ secondary, and then we'll 2 dashes, and we'll call this row. Okay, that'll create a row here, and these rows are going to be very similar, so I'm just going to get one set up and then copy those over. So we'll have a value displayed. I don't think I'm going to have to do any styling on that, but it's going to look very similar to what we have here, except we know we have a forecast. And if we come over and we look at our forecasted data, we have daily, and then these are the I want to grab this temperature low and this temperature high. And I'm also want to use the indoor temperature from here. Okay, so let's get our indoor temperature first. So this is snapshot temperature indoor. That'll be the first row. I don't need this div. Okay, so save that. Don't need that div. Save that. Take a look at that. So 72, and then we're going to need some text here too. So let's put some text up here, and I'll put that in a div, and we'll call this indoor. Let's get those side by side. So here's our current dot secondary, and then we'll this row, and these two are in that row. We need to do a flex here. So let's do a display flex, and I also want to do a justify content. To get everything spaced out, I want to have them left and right justified. So we'll do a space between. And let's see how that looks. Okay, indoor 72. Now we need to add our outdoor. I mean our high and lows. Let's do this. Let's make this. This will be the high. And that's going to be from forecast, temperature, date. This is from daily, and we're going to take that first element, and then we'll do temperature high. Let's make sure that looks right. Okay, there's temperature high. Now, this needs to come out, and actually it should have put this within a row. That's why we're not seeing it side by side here. So let's do that. Okay, there's the high, and then finally we just need to do the low. And let's do the low, and this will be low value. Okay, and I think the last thing is we want to kind of like let's work on our little bit of justifying things here. So I can do here, I want to do a display. And you see me using Flexbox a lot for just justifying, helping to center things, especially vertically. It can be challenging if you don't use Flex. So this Flex direction is correct. So we want to make this a column. That'll basically get things how they look now, except now we can do a justify content, and we can center that. And then also I want to kind of adjust my line height so everything's not so scrunched up there. And I'll do a little bit of a line height adjustment here. We'll make this 1.6M, and let's see how that looks. Okay, everything's kind of like spaced out, top and bottom, justified. I like that. We can turn off our borders just to see if everything looks nice. Okay, that 68 clear, that looks nice. So if I come over and I want to see how this looks on a larger screen, you can see, okay, we've got our margins, everything's kind of still controlled. And I go into my debug mode, and I can change things over. I like to do this. You can see, okay, this is how it's going to look on a phone. And then maybe we can try an iPad. Looks good. I can rotate it. See, it still looks good. Pretty responsive. Overall, happy with that size. Okay, so that takes care of our current values. Next, we're going to go ahead and just finish this out. It's going to be pretty fast. We're going to just bring in our forecasted values, which will be a simple, kind of just a simple list, reusing these icons and that kind of stuff. So we're almost there. We're just got one more thing to do, and then we can deploy it to Firebase, and we're all done. So I hope you've been following along. I hope you're finding this useful. I've skipped over explaining a lot of the things like Flexbox and Angular and all those types of things, because that's something you can always go back and learn. But this is really kind of a video just to show you how to put it all together. All right. My name's Lonnie. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.